Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ring Post Radio, the only podcast that goes 2.5 hours purposefully to miss an entire conversation. I'm your host, Ryan Knightsey, and with me, as always, is the man, the myth, the legend, Scotty Edwards. Scotty, how are you doing on this fine Sunday morn?
I was told last week's episode was great, so
it was.
I don't, but by listeners, not just by ourselves. I can tell myself that all the time. But it's the listeners that mean the most, so I appreciate it. But today we do have stuff to talk about, which is nice. I guess
we always have stuff to talk about it. Whether or not we get to it
last week, we just didn't really feel like it. But I'm doing great. I was sick all week. I wasn't really actually doing great. But I'm doing better now. And
you sound better.
Thank you. And yeah, I'm excited for the week ahead. This is like probably the biggest for myself. It legitimately from Friday for like the week after is probably the biggest wrestling week for me since Japan at the beginning of the year. So that's exciting. I guess there's a pretty big show on Saturday.
NXT
Great American Bash, obviously.
Yeah. Same joke.
Yeah, that's tough. Obviously not Saturday night's main event. I'm very excited for the festivities ahead. So I'm excited to kind of kick that off today.
Yeah.
And I feel like the vibes are up if you're a fan of literally everything that's not WWE. So that's pretty awesome. Or New Japan.
Even then, WWE, you got 3 shows this weekend, so
that's true. Like everyone that's a wrestling fan does win next weekend, probably.
Yeah.
For the most part. So that's fun.
Yeah, and New Japan fans, they don't have anything this weekend, but they had stuff. Today and yesterday, G1s in a week's time. So you got time. Did you see the G1 updates, by the way?
Yeah, I saw that Goto's out.
And do you see who replaced him?
Yeah, the man that shouldn't have to replace anyone. He should already be in it.
Yeah,
but I was happy.
4-way gauntlet, and Taichi was able to enter the G1 now.
Good, by the way.
Very good. Very good news. Yeah, we got
they can make a story out of that if they were smart.
I wonder. I wonder what they're gonna do with that. Because now they're also like did you watch the Goto title change?
No.
Okay. Apparently it was legitimately great, so I haven't watched it yet. But Cage Match had like a 9.2
something great, so I made sure not to watch it.
I didn't make sure not to watch it. I haven't figured out the wrestling fan balance yet. Because work.
Do you watch Dynamite?
I watch Dynamite. Dynamite's easy. Well, Dynamite's easy because I can watch it live.
At night it's live. Yeah, no, that's fair.
I can't. It's hard to catch up and watch everything else.
You watch your weekly dose of Monday Night Raw?
No.
Only on Netflix.
Of course not. I don't think I've watched Monday Night Raw on Netflix since February, June, January.
No, that's fair. That's fair. You got to figure out that work wrestling life balance.
Yeah, the office's Wi-Fi is real not good, so it's a real challenge for me to figure out any of that. Anyways, but apparently like some backstage promos. I saw a little bit of backstage promos that like it looks like Saber is turning a little heelish, perhaps. At least TMDK might be turning a little heelish, and so I also like the idea of like I hate to fall into the trap, Scotty, of well, Taichi and Zach. Now you have a heel face dynamic that works out really well. Are they going to do a run where Taichi wins the G1? Is that what I want? I don't.
If Gato had the ability to book, maybe.
Perhaps, but I guess we'll have to find out.
Something tells me no.
Yeah, something tells me no, especially since he's currently the tag champions. But, alas, I guess we'll see. Anyways, a lot of stuff to get to. Obviously, All in Texas, y'all in Texas, happening this weekend. Big time show, biggest show of the year.
All in your butt.
All in your butt. Is this something that Scotty said 1 minute before we started recording. And we're still enjoying it. Ring of Honor also has Supercard of Honor that weekend as well. They moved it from WrestleMania weekend to the All in Texas weekend show. There's also a couple indie shows as well. I think not enough to really like dive into. It's sort of a WrestleMania weekend. But I feel like the move of Supercard of Honor to All in Texas is trying to, and also, I think Tokyo Joshi Pro is running some shows as well. Like, I think
they're running like 3.
attempting to create a WrestleMania weekend.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, you're right.
Which
I
is
think it's fun to create something like that.
I agree. It's interesting that GCW decided not to do it, but whatever.
GCW is doing it.
Are they doing it? I thought they're doing, but they're not doing it in the same city. They're like somewhere. They're like in Dallas or something, right?
Yeah, they're in Dallas, but TJPW is doing a show in Dallas too. So,
okay.
That's like I think it's not too far from. Yeah, because they're in Arlington, Texas for All In, which is kind of weird.
Yes.
That's where obviously the stadium is. But like Arlington, Texas.
I want to say Arlington, Texas, and it's a 30-minute drive.
Yeah, it's a mid-city region of Dallas. So
yeah,
there you go. I mean, it's not that far out. GCW is only doing one show, but let's be real. Do you really need more than one?
No.
No, you don't. No, you don't, Jim.
No, you don't.
So no, you got Supercard of Honor. That's cool, right? That's really an added bonus for you if you are an AEW fan.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, that's definitely a tag title match. You also have stuff in Atlanta, Georgia as well.
Yeah, of course. To sort of counter program that AEW big time show.
Not competition though, by the way.
They're not competition. I exclusively make it clear there's not competition. To make it clear though that there's also 3 WWE shows this weekend. 2 on Saturday, Great American Bash in Center Stage Theater in Atlanta, and then at State Farm down the street, Saturday night's main event. Then on Sunday, you'll have Evolution 2, which is finally happening. On Sunday, it's not really going up against AEW's weekend, but it's still happening as well.
Going against Beyonce.
It's going against Beyonce. Well, technically, I think all of these are going against Beyonce, right? Or is it just Evolution 2?
I think it's just Evolution 2. I mean, because State Farm's where Beyonce's at the next day, I think.
No. Evolution is at State Farm Arena. Beyonce is more than likely at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the Dome.
That would make more sense.
No, she could certainly sell out State Farm, but knowing Beyonce's caliber,
you're right.
They're more than likely, yes, she is in fact in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which is also technically down the road as well.
I will say this now because I don't know if we'll ever get to it.
You're a big Beyonce
fan. Yeah, she's cool.
She is.
If the show was near me, I would be going to Evolution because 1, I support women's wrestling, and 2, I support women's wrestling. I don't support WWE, and I don't support the fact that they've sabotaged these women with how they've handled this show. But I do support women's wrestling, so that's why I'd be going. Originally, it was supposed to be in Connecticut. Remember that? I was very excited because I was going to go.
Yeah.
Like, there was an original rumor it was supposed to happen like this weekend or last weekend, and then it just didn't. So that was a bummer because I really wanted to go. But, yeah, it's a good weekend of wrestling. And I'm excited for a good weekend of wrestling, obviously headlined by All In Texas.
So I was looking at the Beyonce tickets on Ticketmaster, by the way. And for obstructed view and in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, way bigger, it is the exact same ticket price as a seat in the State Farm Arena for Saturday night's main event. Doesn't that feel wrong?
It feels. Well, you said obstructed view, so that's I guess not as bad.
Yeah, but still, it's
Beyonce. Obstructed view means, people. It means you can't fully see. You're
No.
welcome.
Well, yes, WB also has a big weekend, so those are two.
No, they don't. No. Hold on. No. WWE doesn't have a big weekend.
That's a
They
great point.
are acting like they have a big weekend.
Mm-hmm.
They don't actually.
That's a great point because you and I discussed it with the last not Great American Bash, the last Saturday Night's Main Event, right?
Yeah.
It was John Cena, R-Truth. You and I after the show were like, this show kind of stunk. These shows have kind of been stinky, and
Yeah.
I think I said like, oh well, I feel like we'll talk about the next one, and then we'll truly decide if this is the thing we want to stop talking about. Turns out I totally forgot the next one was this show. Which I mean, if you're WWE, it has to be a good show, like, right? I mean,
it's Goldberg, so no. Here's the thing. I think WWE has one show next weekend that actually matters, and it's not on the day of All In, so I don't care.
It matters to you, Scotty. I'm not sure if it matters to WWE.
No, it doesn't. It matters to me. I am talking about me. I do not care about Goldberg's retirement. I do not care about NXT Great American Bash, but I do care about Evolution. I know it doesn't matter to WWE. That's why they just threw it as part of the package this weekend. If it mattered, they would have not done this to them. So,
yeah. Before we get to all of that, I saw a little bit of news that I wanted to not verify, but look at the details of, and it looks like that. I'm going to guess this morning is probably when it happened. It looks like that officially Tiger Mask 4 is announcing his retirement for July 2026. So Tiger Mask 4 of New Japan is going to be retiring next year. So this will be the last 12 months of his career. He announced it today after wrestling Tanahashi at Korakuen Hall. So yeah, that's not necessarily a cool moment for someone to like retire, I guess, but still very cool to have a long running career of this Tiger Mask. You have to imagine that. Look, Scotty, if this guy's retiring in a year's time, are we getting another Tiger Mask? Are we going to get a new Tiger Mask? Is there one of these young lions that are currently in the dojo right now, or maybe someone that's out and about in Europe or wherever all these other young lions are? I think it's who is out and about. Is it just Oscar Lube and was it Nakashima is his name? Hold on, that's not
yeah, because
is it?
because Daiki Nagai seems to be staying.
Yeah,
because he linked up with the unaffiliated today.
okay.
Shingo, just Shingo and them. So it seems like those two are just forever gone. So I don't think anyone else is going away. Hey, here's what I'll say. I hope the next Tiger Mask is actually good.
Wow. Shots fired. Shots fired over a guy who's just announced his retirement.
It's not good. Sorry.
Well then, it's fascinating.
Tanahashi sounded pretty bad.
I'm fascinated to see who that next Tiger Mask would be. You have to imagine. Now, I think that makes to me all these young lion matches more interesting, Scotty, because now it's like one of these guys might be Tiger Mask, the next iteration, Tiger Mask 5. So that's going to be interesting for me to follow moving forward. Well, let's get to the brunt of the show, which is of course AEW's All In Texas. Of course, this will probably take 7 hours for us to discuss.
This is Ryan's WrestleMania, baby.
Yeah, I mean, I said at the top that like they are setting it up as WrestleMania, moving Supercard of Honor, the WrestleMania Ring of Honor show historically, to this weekend, trying to build some shows around it, some indie shows maybe. I think is purposefully meant to create a WrestleMania weekend environment. And granted, next year they will go back to Wembley, and that doesn't necessarily matter anymore. But I think that's kind of the idea here.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to make that point, obviously, when this is not a yearly show.
Yearly stateside show.
Yeah. So it's like it would be nice, but at the same time, I think doing every other is actually pretty effective too. I think giving themselves 2 years to build up a US stadium show is not a bad thing whatsoever. And it's worked out. I mean, they're at 20K right now, probably gonna hit 23. maybe even hit 25 by the time we get there, because Mystico did just get announced. So obviously that is going to push tickets, because that is a big deal. But it's great. It's great. At the end of the day, it's really cool to see wrestling thriving. Obviously to that point, I know that they're now going to be the highest non WWE stadium show attendance wise in America, so that's also very cool. So yeah, there's a lot of victories here, obviously, to be had. But ultimately, all I give a shit about is if the show is good. So, I wanted to get all those
Business
notable
metrics.
points that are like, yeah, because I don't care about any of that. I just want the show to be awesome. So,
well, I'll hit you with one more business metric. Tony Khan said to TMZ Sports that they already sold $2.5 million in tickets, and they expect to draw over 3 million in the upcoming week. So
good
that
for
they've
them.
never done over $2 million in the United States before this.
Well,
Big show.
Yeah, big show. Speaking of big show,
Spoiler for the Casino Gauntlet.
Why has he been all over my timeline this week?
I do not know.
I've been trying to figure it out. I was trying to see what the tickets were for Ring of Honor. They don't exist. All right. Not that I really care, but I did want to see if the Ring of Honor show was selling. Yes, it is less than All In. You'd be correct.
Well, it's also in the esports stadium, which that was when they had their show. That's when AEW had their residency in Arlington for a while there.
The best match of the weekend might happen in an esports stadium and not the big baseball field.
Yeah, if I recall, that building is quite small for what it is.
Yeah, like
I don't remember the capacity for it, but I imagine it will probably be capacity.
Yeah, I think it's like 1K, so that's cool. No, that's fun. I bet a lot of people thought when I'm not going to make the joke. Never mind.
Perfect. Well, then let's talk about All In Texas. Let's go over that full card that they've announced so far.
Can I make the joke?
Sure, go ahead.
I bet a lot of people thought when All In Texas was announced and Athena was at the announcement, she'd be in front of the 20K, not the 1K. She'll be in the Casino Gauntlet, I know. But, I think a lot of people thought maybe her big title or her big match would be in the stadium. So
I agree. I agree.
I also didn't think she'd have the Ring of Honor Women's title anymore, but that's besides the point.
Maybe this is the time. Maybe she finally gets the title.
You know what's really funny about that? Are we previewing that show?
Ring of Honor, yeah.
Okay.
Do I save the take?
Not really. It's not that important. I think it's really funny that we've gotten to the point where everyone's just like, can Thunder Rosa win the title just so we can move on? Like, it's not about the story or anymore of like who wins. It's just like, can we get this over with? And honestly, I agree.
Well, we'll talk about more of that in a moment. We'll start off All In Texas. Nothing announced for the 0 hour quite yet. Typically happens week out from the show. We'll get more of that detail later this week during Dynamite and Collision, which I believe Collision's on Thursday this week, I should say. This year. Let's look at the card here. I think this is a real juicy card, real sink your teeth into card.
Is this the greatest card they've ever put together?
I mean, probably. I think it's a strong, extremely strong card. That this is probably the best card they put together. I mean,
here's
I'm excited for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm excited for 5 matches, and then the Casino Gauntlets is like I'm not excited for those. It's just sort of like I don't know how to feel because I don't know what's going to be. You know what I mean?
I'm excited for the Casino Gauntlets. I like surprises.
That's fair.
It's like 2 Royal Rumbles.
Yeah.
On a WrestleMania. That's like sick. Think about it that way, And they won't be as long, I hope. If they're as long, we have problems. Here's my take on all these matches. There's not a single match I don't want to see.
Yeah.
I think that is the victory here. Also there's no Chris Jericho. So that's probably part of it, naturally. I'll also say this. Every match for me makes sense to be on this card. Yeah, I think that's a nice feeling. Adam Cole versus Kyle Fletcher, the crowning of Kyle Fletcher in his first AEW singles title, makes sense. Obviously, the big three speak for themselves, right?
Yeah.
Those big three title matches have been kind of those have been locked in the longest, and they are carrying this forward. Everything else is just a bonus, and I
Yeah.
think that's pretty cool. Swerve, Osprey, and the Young Bucks. I mean, come on, guys.
I
That's
know. That's gonna be that's gonna be great.
that's silly. Like, even if you don't like one of them or like the Young Bucks, Swerve's still there, so everyone's gonna like it. It
Mhm,
doesn't matter, you know.
mhm.
That's the funny thing. Like when you get to like a Young Bucks match or an Osprey match, it's like, well, I don't like that guy, but you like Swerve.
I've been thinking about like what match opens the show, and I was like, that's a fun that
That
tag right there
one,
is a fun match to open the show. But then
you're
like
gonna have
I
to do
also
a
think of like
gauntlet.
what the result of it would be, and I'm like,
Mm,
I I don't
probably
know.
gotta do a gauntlet, right?
I think the gauntlet's probably the best idea. Start off with Mark
Because
Briscoe, I think.
Mark
Uh,
Briscoe, Mystico, and MJF. I mean, I'm not gonna say no.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, let's talk about this card match by match. We'll start off with those gauntlet matches since we don't know much about them. We can get them out of the way. So far announced, number 1 and number 2 is Mark Briscoe and MJF. Did Mystico officially like number 3, or he just in it?
He's in it.
Okay, that's what I thought. But those are the only 3 names announced so
Wait,
far.
let me rephrase. He's winning it.
Sure, 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 sure. But those are the only 3 names announced so far. We don't know anyone else, but you have to imagine, anyone else on the roster is available. Will we get returns? Will we get surprises? Some people, some jumps, maybe. I don't know. But Scotty, what are your sort of thoughts about this men's casino gauntlet match?
This match is not showing love for Ricochet. This show is not showing love for Ricochet, and I think that's baloney.
I I
Um,
I fully expect Ricochet to be in this match
Ricochet should get his own match. There, I
against
said it. There, I said it. Against, shit. Uh, um, I wasn't
AR Fox.
prepared
Why
for.
not? He's been doing well.
That there's literally zero way that happens.
Unless it happens on 0 hours.
Ricochet versus Bandito. Set it up the night before.
Oh, that is pretty good. That is pretty good. I would
Pretty
enjoy
awesome.
that.
Or like I've been thinking about this, and I want you to hear me out here. What
Mhm.
if we did like a lucha showcase, but we could just also put Ricochet in it?
I'm fine. Sure. I don't. Yeah,
But
fine.
like,
Twist
yeah,
my
like put
arm.
like Ricochet, Beast Mortos, and another
And
heel luchador.
Cavernario. So he's not healed.
Yeah, sure.
Hechicero.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Hechicero, perfect. Put those 3 in there with Bandito, Dorada, and Neon.
Sure.
Or hologram. Put hologram. Put
Yeah.
hologram.
Twist my arm, Scotty.
I think that'd be awesome.
I agree.
Even if you put it on the pre-show, put Ricochet in both matches.
I think
that
that is
actually work.
like a great closing kind of match for the pre-show to try to sell
Yeah,
you on the overall show.
and then Ricochet comes out for the casino.
Mhm.
I think that would be fun to see him do double duty. Yeah, do that. I have sold you, Tony Khan. I have sold you gold for
Mhm.
your pre-show. Everyone would be on their feet. They'd be amped up, and I would be happy. So think about it that way.
Do you have an opinion on who you think? Because obviously this will be the next number 1 contender after
mhm.
presumably Adam Page or John Moxley. I presume, pray to God, Hangman Adam Page. But who do you think might be a number 1 contender from it? Who do you think will be a good number 1 contender next for Hangman?
Well, I'm not gonna rule out Darby.
Sure, that's a fair. Darby
Um,
returning and winning is actually really smart.
if it's not him, I think MJF has a good shot.
Mhm. I
MJF and Hangman obviously had their thing earlier this year.
I'll also throw out there he's not in it. You just laid out a whole idea for him, but I don't think Ricochet is a bad idea either.
Ricochet does feel like a great TV title defense.
Yeah,
Um, I-
especially if he
you know,
has like the Gates of Agony behind him.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't hate it. Show some love for Ricochet.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie Kingston,
Hmm? Huh?
I
Maybe.
mean, make me very happy. There's a lot of surprise potential.
Yeah, we're talking Darby, Eddie, Adam
Takeshita
Copeland.
can't win because
I'll,
he's going
I'll,
away.
I'll throw in Adam Copeland, because just because.
Dear fuck.
He's out. He's out on injury. He could be returning. I don't know. You can't discount
that would be tough. What about Pac?
Pac is a great pick as well.
He's probably going to be in that trios match, huh? If he comes
assuming
back.
That's happening, yeah. Assuming it's not Pac and it's Pac and not Gabe Kidd.
Yeah, I think MJF and Darby are my top 2 picks.
I think Darby's a really good shout, especially with the main event for what it is. Yeah. And everyone like sort of circling Darby for months for this to be the main event for him.
Yeah.
So I think Darby's a really good
shout. Should win though, if we're being honest.
Who?
Mystico.
Yeah, I agree. I think
let's not talk about how we book that world title match. Let's just talk about the idea of it.
I think then it should be Mark Briscoe.
Oh well, that's true. Mark Briscoe should win everything. So.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of potential. I think I like the idea of all these surprises. I also in my head was like, what if we just did Adam Copeland, Eddie Kingston, Darby Allin back to back as entrances. That would be sick. That would be, let's just do.
And then it ends with Chris Jericho.
I guess he could also be on this show. I did not think about that. He could be a return as well.
Oof.
Oh boy, did not think about that whatsoever. But that's totally plausible.
Made sure they're soured a little for you.
Okay, well, hold on. Can I walk through?
Are you about to back up Chris Jericho right now?
Let me walk through Chris Jericho real quickly. Just hear me out.
I'm hearing. I'm not saying anything. I'm shutting up.
If Chris Jericho has obviously been in the sort of, I think, like kayfabe decline of his career, sort of sliding down, still winning championships, but like sliding down the card.
Actual decline.
Tomato, tomato. But you know what I'm saying? Like he's still winning championships, but going down and down the card.
Yeah.
In the year, this is where I'm going to win you back, Scotty. In the year of 2025, which is of course the year of retirement ceremonies, the idea of like Chris Jericho being a title defense challenger for Hangman Adam Page, the first title match in AEW history, where it could also be, it almost makes sense. Like, why should Chris Jericho jump up that quick? Make it like a retirement match. He shouldn't. Then that means he shouldn't win this gauntlet match, I guess. But I like this idea of like redoing that match now that like Hangman Adam Page is like so much higher than once he was, and letting that be like Jericho's retirement match. There's something about that I really enjoy. And so maybe it doesn't make sense for him to win the gauntlet match, but there's something there of like, I think that could be a big pay-per-view defense. If Hangman can hold the title, Scotty, until Double or Nothing next year, I'm running that match. If Jericho wants to truly retire, which I
don't think he does. I think you've completely made that part up.
I agree. I have. Well, that's also Hope. That's Cope. Well, not Cope, but it is
Hope. Nope, not Cope. That's different. Oh, that's a whole different being that we're not excited for. Nah, his music's definitely gonna hit.
Yeah,
for that show.
Women's Casino Gauntlet match. I think this number one contendership is more up in the air because who's going to win between Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné is fascinating. We'll talk about that more shortly, but I think this makes the women's match a little bit more up in the air. Same sort of question. Who do you think is going to win? What surprise returns might we get? I don't know if can't think of who specifically is injured right now. If
Riho,
I guess Sheeta would be another person.
Riho, Jamie Hayter.
Is she injured?
Yeah.
Nyla Rose would be fun, but I don't. That's a whole political conversation that I don't know how to dive into yet.
Willow will get a big pop.
Say it again.
She's it. I'm sure Willow's gonna get a pop whenever she's in it.
Yeah. I would love to. By the way, I would love to see Nyla Rose be in this match, but
Britt Baker.
In Texas, come on, Texas, is that going to happen?
Nah, it wouldn't be. I could see them, but
it's not going to happen in Texas. The most, anyways. There's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
All
right, you're gonna get a pop. Are we going
to see Rebel?
No. You're gonna pop for Riho, and you're gonna pop for Jamie Hayter, and you're gonna pop for Sheeta. That's what you're getting.
Yeah, I think that's probably it. Is there, unless we get some sort of like big surprise, like transfer, jump or something? which I doubt it.
From where?
I have no idea. I don't know. Bozilla pops up again and does another surprise jump.
I don't think that one's happening.
I don't think that
I
was
don't think that
happening
would
either.
be. I don't think that would get a big pop yet. So
That would
with
only get
that,
a pop if like Megan Bain's in the ring, and then the two of them can stare down.
that's true. Megan Bain will be in the ring,
Yeah.
hopefully.
So
Um,
it's probably just going to be a bunch of the women's roster, no big surprises. Probably some returns, like we said, Shida, Riho. But otherwise, I think you're right. Who do you think is going to win this thing? Who do
I
you
mean,
think?
to be fair, all the surprises we said were just injured people to
Yeah,
begin with for the men's one.
that's true.
Um,
Who do you like to
who I think
see
will
win this one and be a number one contender?
Chris Willow.
People we've been talking about for I don't know a year now.
I've been trying to get them one of them the world title for the past year.
Yeah,
So
literally a year practically with all out last year.
those would be my top two choices.
Yeah, I can certainly agree to that. If I had to give a dark horse pick, I don't know, Athena. I guess Athena would be a dark horse pick. I think that's the only other person I can think about. Well, let's move on to the rest of the show. Of course, we got Swerve Strickland, Will Ospreay versus the Young Bucks. The stipulation here, which has been clarified because there were some people that had confusion regarding it, is that it is for the EVP titles, or rather the lack of it for the Young Bucks. They will lose their EVP titles versus Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay, who will be putting on the it's basically the loser gets if you're a loser, you lose something. If the Young Bucks lose, they will lose their EVP titles. If Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay lose, they will be unable to challenge for the world title for 1 year. How do you feel about this match? How do you feel about that stip?
Well, added stakes definitely make it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly for the baby faces here, right? You don't want to see these guys not challenge for a year. But
what a stipulation. No one, you can't challenge for the world title for 1 week.
But I also think that's the story you're looking for in many ways. Is how do you keep these two out of the world title picture? Now, here's the question. Do you want to handcuff yourself like that? Do you want to essentially take away any idea? And I know a lot of people have talked about, well, this is how Swerve does the run-in at the end of the show because he's, which is fine. I get that. It's going to be awesome, whatever. But do you want that completely out of your hands while Hangman Page is world champion?
I think it's not a bad idea because I think what it does
Neither match, by the way. Both are out of the question.
What it does do, Scotty, is that it puts the mind of everyone else of like, well, Swerve and Will can't challenge for this title for Hangman Adam Page. So it would ensure that Hangman Adam Page gets a lengthy run with the title. Because you would have to think that if he is the champion, you would want to have an awesome, or at the very least a Swerve match. But at the same,
they challenge for the unified title.
I assume they can challenge for the unified title, which I think that immediately makes me interested.
Then we are fine.
But at the same time, it also is this thing of, let's say, we all remember the Hangman Page the first time around title reign the first time around. It was a really good moment, him winning the title, and then the reign itself was like, this was okay.
Fought Adam Cole like 7 times.
That is a big part of it. So to that extent, let's just say, for argument's sake, that we'll get a similar sort of situation with Hangman Adam Page, where it's like it's a fine thing. You're not going to have the fans trying to will into existence. Swerve should take the title and would save Adam Page, or Will should do it. And I agree that maybe you would want that have that escape hatch, but I also think
okay, here I'm going to cut you off. We're just going to say this now. We are not going to assume Hangman Page has a bad title reign because we're going to assume Hangman Page has a fantastic title reign anyways. You know why we're going to assume that? because people hate this guy already. I don't need people to. No. No, he's gonna have a great title reign. We're not gonna have to worry about it. By the time we get around to a year, you're gonna want to see those matches again, and that's okay.
Yeah, then there's no reason to be concerned about losing Swerve and Will out of the title picture for a year. If you're assuming that
No, it was more
Hangman's
for
going to have a
me just
fantastic
the
reign,
idea of not running Swerve and Hangman through the entire reign
you don't need it.
is more. You know, I don't know if you don't
If
need
it's going to be a fantastic reign, Scotty, you don't need it.
You don't need his best rival to be part of his world title reign. That's egregious.
So for him to have a fantastic title reign, he needs to have
No, that's
for a
not
year?
what I said. But you don't think he needs his best? You don't think his best rival would make it a great reign?
It would. It would certainly would.
But
I
like
agree.
saying it's not needed. Like that's it's his number one story. It's his number one rival.
What would make it more interesting to me is I think what it can immediately do is set up Swerve to win the Owen next year and do the match at All In next year.
But they're not going to do that. They're going to have Osprey win it in the UK.
That's also then that's the final. That's the final of the
Yeah.
Owen, isn't it?
Oh, there you go. Well, there you go. You got that out of it. How about
Yeah.
that? That works.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah, I think that works quite well.
You know, I actually will say this, not before we got into the Hangman thing, because I do think Hangman has a reign with Ricochet and Darby and
Chris Jericho?
Eddie. No. I think I don't really have I don't have many qualms about him not having either of these two to face. One, because he just faced Hangman. We've seen the Swerve match a million times. I just like the idea of that match happening again. Sorry.
I agree.
Because I don't know. We've never actually got to see them face off for the world title. That was we didn't do it in the Swerve reign either.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt that they have enough people to fill in the void. And I do think that they should lose. I want to say that. I do think Swerve and Osprey should lose because that's interesting. And because I remember the unified titles there, so I'm not too worried. But you know,
the escape hatch to that punishment of can't challenge for 1 year is you just have them challenge for the unified title.
Right, you just go to the other one. Like again, not worried about him having challengers or whatever. Okada's going to be freed up too, so that's going to be one. You know, all these different guys. But my thing is, I feel like the follow up to this should be Swerve and Osprey feuding eventually.
That would be
maybe
interesting.
That's because obviously Osprey kind of put that on the line for them, and Swerve was like, "Come again," you know, type thing. So I think that's the natural story from here, which obviously intrigues me very much. So I wanted to bring that up.
It would give reason for Swerve to turn heel on Osprey down the line.
Yeah. It is the only reason I brought up like the difficulty of that is because these three guys are clearly being pushed as like the new three guys of this company. So obviously, like keeping them out of the world title picture is both an interesting thing, but also like, you know, it wouldn't hurt anyone if we got those matches.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, I trust Hangman to tell the story as a world champion. That will matter. And that will make it all work out. So that's okay. I mean, we're coming off like a title reign that I feel like people are forgetting was mostly bad just because the past like month and a half has been really good.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, everyone, every paper was like, please, can this end?
You gave like 2 duds in a row, I think.
Yeah. I fixed one. The Swerve one's no longer a dud. It was just frustration at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's still not great, but
because that one was first, if I recall, right?
No, Cope was first.
Yeah.
Cope was first, and I am not taking that one away. That stunk. That match was real bad. But and I will also say this: there's a plus side to these two being out of the title picture. You're now going to try and elevate people.
Yep.
Right. I think a Hangman Page title reign could be Kyle Fletcher, Okada, Takeshita, Bandito. Darby, obviously, Eddie Kingston, like that alone pretty much gets you there anyways.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anyone. Oh, MJF. Obviously, they'll play that. They'll
Mhm.
play that through. I don't want that, but they'll play that through. Uh, Even one of the Hurt Syndicate guys. Obviously, probably Bob eventually. I feel like
I mean,
Bob will
if he's feuding
do
with
something.
MJF, why not just do a title match with Bob as well? You know?
Right, right. Samoa Joe. Like they have the options.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
not a worry.
again, I'll throw in the negative matches of Jericho. I think Kid is a potential one too. You know,
Oh
like
God, no. Oh
you,
God, no. That guy stunk it up this week for New Japan. They sold less tickets in a building that holds double the capacity of Cork and Hall than a Cork and Hall did today for Stardom. Gabe Kidd ain't anything. He's nothing. You know what? We're watching that guy fall, anchor into the ground. Lovely thing to see.
but I think that's a could be a potential match spinning off of the
Babyface
Death Rider stuff.
Tanahashi. Continue. How does
And
attack
yeah, I
work?
guess, and that's also the thing about, I think what's nice about the
Ricochet. Did I say Ricochet?
you did you that was the first person you said. You are
Oh,
always
okay.
going to show some love.
Show some
Uh,
love for Ricochet, baby.
what's really nice about the construction, I think, at this point of like the AEW pay-per-view cycle, and like what you look forward to and all these
Yes.
sort of things, is that that like you have Forbidden Door around the corner, and that could just be an easy title defense with Adam Page versus I don't know, Suji, just as pulling a name out of the hat.
Yeah.
You have
Cage.
the Continental Classic, which is going to eat up a month and a half of TV, and then basically be the culmination. Now, I don't know what that's going to be now with the title, the Continental title no longer existing, but whatever. So we'll get there when we get there, but that could obviously serve there, and then that world title match, as we saw last year, doesn't have to matter as much because the Continental, in this case now probably the Unified, was going to matter more and going to main event. Plus, also, now that you have this unified title, Scotty, which may or may not be serving as a secondary world title,
it's a second world title,
can also stretch out the world title reign of Adam Page more, because you can now do main events with Kenny Omega or Kazuchika Okada. Probably Kenny Omega is my guess. Whenever you feel like it, right? When that feels like it's been heated up properly to a big world title match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. I have to keep remembering that's also in the conversation, so Swerve and Ospreay could obviously go for that if they wanted to. Yeah, I'm not worried about it. I just like the conversation aspect of it, obviously, because I do think there's something there, mostly of Hangman not having the Swerve match to go to, but if they're more unified after All In, you probably wouldn't want to go to it anyways, right? So
yeah.
I don't mind keeping them apart either, because obviously we saw a lot of their matches in a little time. Well, actually, we haven't seen them wrestle in almost a year now. So there's that. But yeah, I think.
Is there any sort of concern or thought to keeping the EVP role under the Young Bucks?
No, it's just a thing.
It's it's their heel gimmick.
It's their heel gimmick. Why would you take that away?
Yeah.
To me, I don't see a world where the Young Bucks lose. I don't think that's effective. I don't think that affects anyone. If they lose, they're like, oh, okay. It's not like they use powers all that much to begin with, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like,
or at the very least, it's died down a little bit.
Right. It's not like they're booking much,
Mm-hmm.
like with the gimmick. So it's hard to be affected by that. But the match is going to be phenomenal. I want to get back to the match itself.
Yeah.
I think realizing Ospreay and Swerve can't challenge for a year is a fascinating decision. But like you said, it kind of sets you up for the Owen next year around this time, because obviously All In will probably be back in August in England.
Mm-hmm.
So it lines up perfectly, and I think that's great, truthfully. Especially if you have a road paved for both of them along the way, which, like I said, I feel like the natural direction is, if they lose, is to face each other.
Yeah.
At probably All Out. I feel like All Out, wherever the hell that show is. I don't remember. Toronto?
I believe Toronto.
Was that loud? Yeah.
If that's Toronto, that screams cope. But go on.
Oh, you make a good point. But yeah, I think that's part of it. I obviously think also that
Hold on, real quickly. I do want to clarify something because I think you and I are used to All In, then All Out being the next pay per view. The next
Forbidden
pay per
Doors,
view is actually Forbidden Door in August, and All Out is in September 20th.
right, and Forbidden Door can be a New Japan challenger.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I know it wasn't last year, but it can be this year.
yeah.
So
So just to clarify that, because I was getting myself confused of like All Out is actually not the
yeah,
next pay per view.
it's easy to forget that Forbidden Door is happening. You know why? Because Forbidden Door is a pay per view that doesn't need to happen anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But that's neither here nor there. Nothing's really forbidden anymore. So
Yeah,
it's not
that's true.
really a
That's
point to
certainly
keep
true.
going through. But yeah, anyways, I'm excited for this match. I'm excited for how it will all go. And obviously it has repercussions for the next year,
Yeah.
which I think is both maybe a little scary, but also very exciting. So
Hey, I love the guts. I love the balls to book something out potentially a year in advance.
yeah,
So I'm excited.
we're gonna wear this one bad when Cope's challenging.
Oh, I was gonna say we're gonna wear this one bad when the Young Bucks lose.
Well, if they lose, it's like all right, whatever, I guess.
Yeah, okay,
Maybe they got
fine.
cold feet type thing,
But if they
to
lose, it's like
go with
great. Now we're gonna have a swerve match sooner than I thought.
it. Right. Oh, we're gonna see Osprey and Hangman. Dang, it's
Darn.
like so. Yeah, I'm not, I'm not too scared of that if that's where we end up.
I'll throw this in here now because it isn't official yet, but it looks like it's going to be coming down the pipe very soon. The AEW Trios titles looks like it'll be a match between the Ops and the Death Riders, Claudio Wheeler Yuta, and question mark. This could be a return of Pac. I'm going to throw in Kid just because of his association at this point. Maybe Kid is a backup play in case Pac is not ready, but ultimately it looks like a challenge has been made. Not yet official. We'll see when that gets official. But it looks like that match will be happening at this show as well.
Go Ops.
Yeah, I think you gotta go Ops. Just like because I think this is the night where like the Death Riders kind of are gonna die. You know what I mean?
Thank God.
So if that is the case and John Moxley is losing, then have the Death Riders lose as well. Have everyone lose. Just let's
What
just do
if
that.
I know people like anyone that says otherwise, but like, what if Moxley wins?
Well, hold that. We'll just hold that to the side
Yeah,
and put that in the back of our thoughts.
pause it.
I do like the idea, by the way, if we're going for the full everyone in Death Riders losing, not the last two, but I guess the finish of the women's casino gauntlet should be Willow and Marina Shafir, and just have Willow win.
That'd be
That
a good
that
bit.
that would be a good bit that I would do if we're going all the way in on Death Riders dying.
All in.
Lowers glasses, puts glasses back on. You get a big old yeah, and then a big old guitar riff. AEW World Tag Title 3-way title match. We should get that as also on the soundboard. Can we make that note? Just a yeah.
We've never made any note ever.
AEW World Tag Team Title 3-way match. The Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, putting the titles on line against Kevin Knight and Mike Bailey, Jet Speed, and the Patriarchy, Nick Wayne and Christian Cage. Scotty, how excited for this match are you? And are you sort of on the lookout for a lack of Job City? Is this match put together because the Hurt Syndicate don't want to look up at the lights?
I mean, I definitely think this match is to take the belts off of them.
Yep.
Without them getting pinned for sure. But I don't know. I don't mind them not getting pinned. Like I know this has been a conversation point a lot lately. I do think taking the titles off of them makes sense.
Agreed.
To move the tag division forward a bit, right? Because it's hard. It really is hard with those two because they're kind of singles wrestlers as world champion or as tag champions. And it's like the way they've been sold is not to really ever be dominated. I think you can kind of work your way around it by having them lose here. Yeah, I don't see them looking up at the lights, but I do see them being incredible bases for the Nick Waynes and the Kevin Knights and the Speedballs of the world.
Yeah.
Christian Cage is also here. To
He's
wear a
gonna
nice
be the ring
turtleneck.
general that makes it all work.
Yeah, I have no doubt that Christian Cage will be great in this match, and I think this match will be great. I want to
Yeah.
say that. I do have a lot of excitement for this match. On paper, it may like not jump off the page to some people because maybe you're getting used to jet speed, obviously. But hey, I can't fault what they've done with Kevin Knight and Mike Bailey. When we heard that Mike Bailey was signing with AEW, we said they gotta just put him in a tag team,
I
and they
did.
did.
Yeah, we did.
You know, we didn't say Kevin Knight because we didn't know he was joining the company at the time,
Mhm.
but obviously a great pairing. And I think they should be your next champions. But I also don't hate the idea of Christian and Nick Wayne winning. Actually, Nick Wayne is getting better.
Mhm.
I think I think Nick Wayne legitimately learning from Christian Cage is a great thing because obviously he had the indie aspect to him, right? You know, like, and when I say that, it's like a lot of people are trying to mimic Osprey in many ways, and
Yeah.
that's not really something most people can do. Really, anyone can because you have to be an athletic
Well,
freak in many
the irony
ways.
of it as well is that like eventually Osprey had to evolve out of that too.
Right, exactly. And I think for Nick Wayne, it's good to obviously do your big moves. The I forget what he calls the uh, finisher that he does. It's a movie name, is it not? Whatever. It's not a big deal.
No idea.
Yeah, I have no idea either. But like he can still do the big moves, but I do think learning from Christian helps him a lot. And I think keeping them together is not a bad thing. Obviously, Cope and Christian aren't together facing FTR on the show because they've put it off.
Yeah.
If Nick Wayne and Christian lose, I do think that's the start of them splitting finally.
Yes. Yes. I
Um,
think there's a good chance that even a split could happen on this show.
Yeah, I think so too. I like Jet Speed winning because I think Jet Speed defending the titles every few weeks on TV is awesome.
Agreed.
So I go with them, and I think leading to the Christian Nick Wayne split now works as well.
Yep.
Um, because we've been doing the cracks for months.
Yeah.
Now we can kick that into next gear. Maybe Christian gets pinned because Nick Wayne costs them. Because
Maybe.
Nick Wayne, I think, is going to be the heel out of this, right? They obviously want Christian to be a babyface with Cope in the long run. So I feel like that has to be the direction. I think that would be a good swerve because I think everyone expects Christian Cage to be the one that turns. But if they turn his back on Christian,
Mhm.
then you're helping build up Nick Wayne more, I think.
Are you
Nick Wayne as a
giving
babyface doesn't work as well.
are you giving Nick Wayne a faction?
Well, I mean, it's just his mom and Kip Sabian. Is that really a faction?
No. Hey, besides surprise return, the Casino Gauntlet, Luchasaurus. Sorry, Kill Switch.
Right. Yeah. They're gonna be with Jack Perry too.
I guess Jack Perry could also be returning. I didn't think about that too. I also that was the thing I remember. I saw someone online pitch was Jack Perry returns in the Young Bucks match, and that
who
cost him
wants
too.
them back? Who wants them? Who wants Jack Perry back?
I also don't like
Raise
that.
of hands.
Well, I also don't like that because that's a very WWE booking style, and I think
Mm.
it's more interesting to have this match where the Young Bucks win and the Swerve and Osprey just lose.
I mean,
But
I'm sure the Young Bucks will cheat, but they can cheat like just by themselves. They don't
exactly.
need the run in to do that.
The thing about the world tag titles is that I do feel like, though, however, is that they have beaten down Jet Speed so much over the
Oh yeah.
past couple weeks that do not like avoiding a job for the Hurt Syndicate is such a bad move,
They
in
can
my
pin
opinion.
Shelby.
Because they've beaten the Hurt Syndicate have beaten up Jet Speed so much over the past couple weeks that you really need to have like Kevin Knight frog splash off the top, pinning probably Shelton
Shelby.
Benjamin, but
That's right.
pinning at least one of these guys to get that sort of modicum of revenge as well. You're not
Yeah.
going to get that with Christian Cage. If anything, you might be able to spin off into a 2-on-2 Jet Speed versus Hurt Syndicate title match, but you
Yeah.
want to do that here, and I fear that If it is like they don't want to do the job and that's why it's a 3-way, that's just in bad business, in my opinion, for a company, a group that does business. But it needs to be it needs to be that sort of swerve where Jet Speed in fact get the win. And a guy like Kevin Knight, a guy that I think the Hurt Syndicate have taken a shine to before, I think is the right guy for them to properly put over.
Oh, I agree. I don't have high hopes for it.
I agree. I do agree.
I think
That's the
if
ideal
Kevin Knight
situation.
pinned Shelton, it would be good. I think it would work, obviously. Maybe that's how they do it, and maybe the way of making them still look strong is that they face two teams and they lost the belt. There's a way to make that all work while them being pinned still happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Shelton can get pinned. In my mind, he can. I don't think he's the overly protected one of the two. So we'll see for sure.
He was in the Continental Classic and lost a couple matches as well. So it's not like he's not like Bobby, who's won all of his matches.
Yeah, Bob beat Swerve.
Yeah. Yeah. In hindsight feels very strange.
Yeah, that kind of all went to shit, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Remember
that? TNT title match, Adam Cole versus Kyle Fletcher. It definitely feels like Kyle Fletcher's winning this one. The only outside situation where he doesn't win, Scotty, is if he loses, but he's losing up to be a title challenger. But no, I think Kyle Fletcher should just win here. He's on such a roll. Why give him a loss right now? Just have him win the title.
It would be criminal if he lost.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It would be the second worst booking decision this show could probably have.
Mm-hmm.
If he lost to Adam Cole.
Yeah.
Adam Cole does not need to be champion. Adam Cole has barely been champion. I do not need to see him continue to be champion.
Has he had I can't even remember a single title defense.
He defended against Josh Alexander like last week on Collision.
Oh, he did. He already defended against Kyle Fletcher in a DQ finish.
Oh yeah, I remember that because I remember it was made, and I was like, "That's an interesting matchup." Yeah, because that's the one that like Kyle Fletcher almost killed him.
Oh yeah, when everyone got upset because he's like, "You almost killed the man," and here's Adam Cole still going, and they're redoing the match.
Yeah. So
maybe the finish of this match is Kyle Fletcher actually kills Adam Cole. Is that the finish? Is that what we're going for?
Sure, why not? Doesn't sound like a bad thing at all. But yeah, Kyle Fletcher needs to win.
I totally agree. That's pretty done and easy for me. The unified title match, the international title and the continental title are getting unified into a title called the unified title. Not a great name. I imagine it'll be changed very quickly. But the match itself is, of course, going to be Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada. A match that was an all-time classic 4-match series in New Japan, built up and put into this title. Literally, the side plates are of these two guys doing the One Wing Angel and the Rainmaker. So it is that rivalry built into this title immediately. We're getting this match for the first time in America, a match that almost happened until AEW existed and took that match away from 2019 Ring of Honor show, which I forget. I forget what the name of that show was. But it was the Madison Square Garden show.
It was just Supercard, I think. G1 Supercard?
Maybe. G1 Supercard sounds right. So this match, basically, 6 years in the making, kind of, in the States. Finally happening on American soil. Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada. I don't think it is necessarily... I understand the desire, and especially since they've already built this up as these guys have had a great rivalry in Japan, all these sort of things, as to build this up as this match would be the best match on the entire show. They kind of have already built that up. But personally, I'm trying to actively lower my expectations because we have seen what Kazuchika Okada has been in AEW so far. Kenny Omega, I think, has been really great, but he's obviously slowed down since 2018, 2017. So it's this thing of like they are building it up to be this is from the best match series ever in the history of wrestling. But that was also 6, 7, 8 years ago, and these are older men and they're changed. So we'll see.
So I have lowered my expectations, not necessarily because of who Okada's been, but because they're just older.
Yeah.
Like they're not in their peak form anymore.
Yeah.
Like when that rivalry happened, they were both in their athletically top form. Like
Okada was probably like 30, probably.
yeah, like Okada was in literally his peak.
Yeah.
Like that was literally his peak. Kenny was literally in his peak. Like they've both been through a lot since then.
Yeah.
They've both been beaten up a lot since then. Like you just said, it's been 6 years. Like Kenny's almost died.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Okada has been through number of injuries that obviously he doesn't miss time, but like his body's beat up. There's a reason he signed this contract. It's because he's beat up. Like it's different. But I'll also say there's magic here. And if anyone's going to do it all these years later, it's probably these two.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. It's not going to be the same matches that they had. Kenny's not going to be jumping over the barricade and taking out Okada. Okada's not going to be doing the running jump over the barricade to take, like, they're different in many ways. But in a stadium setting, in a first time in America setting, the magic will be there. The lights will be as bright as humanly possible for Kazuchika Okada. He will turn it on.
Yeah.
And like you said, Kenny Omega's still been pretty great. So it's not.
He's had a great year so far.
Yeah, so like I'm not really worried, but I think my whole thing is don't expect what they did. Appreciate what they are now more so, and anything you get from that version of them.
I think a big difference in that sort of leveling of expectations is expecting the exact style of match that they did previously in
Right.
Japan. And whereas I think the match will still be great, but I just think it'll be structurally different than what they did in Japan. Because as you just spoke, it not only are they different guys, different stuff, but they are 6, 7, 8 years older than what they were at their physical peaks.
Kenny physically is probably even more years older than that.
Yeah, did surgery to avoid
He
death.
missed a year due to no, well, he missed a year due to surgeries that stemmed from that rivalry.
Yeah,
Let
that's a
alone,
great point.
you know,
That's a
like
great point.
again, the craziness of all that's happened to him, especially since then. It's like the fact you're getting this at all in America finally is probably enough.
Yeah,
If we really want to think about it.
I agree.
Like the bonus is however good the match is at
Yeah,
this stage.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I totally agree. It's going to
if
be a
it's
different
4
structural
stars,
match.
cool. If
They ha-
it's 5 stars, awesome. I
no,
don't but like Dave's gonna rate it 5 stars.
yeah,
But like, what are we gonna rate? You know?
yeah. I'm truly fascinated to see how this match will be. I'm at the point of just I'm going to accept wherever we're given, sort of that sort of
Yeah.
thing. I think it's going to be great. It's just a question of I think how great it will be because it will be
Mhm.
different. I think that's
It will
the
be.
mindset one should have going to this match. It will more than likely be great. It's just going to
Yeah.
be different, and you just have to adjust your expectations
But
accordingly.
here's what I'll also give them. They are gonna do what 2 guys couldn't do reigniting a rivalry about a week or 2 ago. So,
Right over 2 weeks ago.
different company.
Different company. Okay.
We
Different
didn't talk about it last week.
Oh, I'm sure we talked about it. We went for 2.5 hours.
We didn't talk about it.
I'm sure we went 2.5 hours. Surely.
Yeah,
Can I,
no,
can
you're
I
right. You're right.
can I reveal the peek behind the curtain a little bit for
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
audience? We were at the 2 hour mark, and we started wrapping up and doing our closing
Match of the week.
bits and match of the weeks
Yeah.
and plugs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I messaged Scotty. I said, it would be very funny if we went another 30.
And then we did.
And then we did because, of course, we can just talk about anything here. But I said it would be funny if we just went another 30 just to add on the additional pressure of the joke.
Yeah, I really hope Omega and Okada don't say that.
What if we added another? Wouldn't it be funny if we did another 30?
I think the sweet spot for this match is probably 30.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an Okada match. So
Yeah, that's actually a good question. Do they go an hour? They historically have gone an hour.
No, I mean they have. All their matches have been over 30 minutes except for the G1 match.
Yeah. I think 30s. I think 30 I'm sitting.
35?
35. Yeah.
35, I think they sit at.
I think 45 is pushing it. I think
yeah,
for these guys.
yeah, because they're not main eventing. Right?
Yeah, that's another great point.
That's part of it. Boy, oh boy, do I not want to follow this match.
Well, yeah, I don't know who will follow this. I kind
of structuring this show sounds like a mess.
I talked about it. Maybe you just want to open the show with this. I don't know. Like, just get it out of the way.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a maybe. Me too.
It's a difficult, like, where do you put the classic?
Yeah.
Because it's really funny this match is happening on the show, and then like the AEW version of Roman versus Cody is happening in the main event.
Yeah. We'll talk about
that in a second, but boy, oh boy, do I have thoughts on that. But
next match is, of course, AEW Women's World Title match. Toni Storm versus Mercedes Moné. This is, of course, Tony's title on the line versus the belt collector Mercedes Omega.
Yes,
so
that's what she said.
That's what she said. That's what she said. So that is the match here, and this is the biggest women's match, obviously, that AEW can do and has ever done.
The biggest AEW women's match of all time.
Yeah, easily.
Not even a question.
Historically significant, I might add.
Yeah. Very excited for it. Is it a hot take to say I want Mercedes to win?
No, I think I want Mercedes to win as well.
I'm starting to think she's not going to, and I don't love the idea.
Yes, they're really setting up this thing of Toni Storm getting just kind of beaten down by the heel Mercedes.
Yeah.
And you almost expect here's the thing. You also expect like the good news, but not every single person can get the good news. The only match that I think we have the heels winning are Fletcher and the Young Bucks. We didn't really say it. But were we both thinking Omega wins the unified title?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Omega's winning.
So, you got room for another heel to win a title, and I kind of really want to see Mercedes Moné blue backdrop holding a shit ton of titles.
Yeah,
like the Dragon.
I also have been in the camp that she's been the world champion for the past year. So let's actually have her hold the world title.
I mean, not even the past year, during the Mariah May title reign too, of just like.
Well, the past year has been Mercedes' entire run.
Okay, yeah. Good point.
So I thought she was the world champion when Tony was champion. I thought she was the world champion when Mariah was champion. And I still think she's more the world champion. Here's my thing. Does 4-time AEW Women's World Champion Toni Storm need to be the one to beat Mercedes Moné? No.
That's a great point. And we discussed this earlier on a previous episode, I think. No, I don't think she should.
No, I don't. I'm going to bring it up again. I don't know how I don't know how the direction isn't Mercedes Moné winning the world title and losing it to Willow Nightingale. I don't know how that's not the direction. That should be the most obvious direction for this women's division ever.
Yeah.
You know what she can do with the TBS? She can relinquish it after she gets a few pictures with all her belts. Truthfully, that's what she can do. I think that's okay, because then you open a spot up for other women to go take that belt, and then she gets to be the world champion.
Yeah.
It's easy. It's so easy. And I want them just one time. Make it easy.
I think I saw someone pitch the idea of like, you can just combine the TBS title and the world title. And
that's
I was like,
no.
I'm like, on paper, yeah, I guess that makes sense. But at the same time, it's like you're basically establishing a second world title, and you want to get rid of one of the two women's main titles. Yeah. The internet will explode if you say that.
And I will explode if the idea is like, well, they're bringing women's tag belts. No, that's not better.
If they're bringing women's tag belts, it helps, but it's not better.
I don't like
the idea it's less of a detraction, if that makes sense.
Unless you're gonna really run with it. Exactly. No, I think she just relinquishes that belt. I think that's the direction. I think Tony losing's fine because Tony's been a 4-time AEW Women's World Champion. She doesn't need to still be champion after the show.
Mm-hmm.
The reason she beat Mariah was because Mariah was also leaving. But the reason you did that entire story was to get Tony back on top for this match.
Yeah.
She's now on top. She can now lose because there's no one that makes sense beating Tony after this. There's plenty of people beating Mercedes after this that makes all the sense in the world. Please give Mercedes the belt.
It's the same sort of like...
Doesn't have enough.
It's the same sort of like story beat thing that we talked about with the Young Bucks versus Swerve and Ospreay. If the Young Bucks lose and they no longer EVPs, and it's like, okay, great. They can still be heels, but they lose an aspect of their gimmick that gives them some power and the thing that makes you mad about them. But that's kind of it. If Tony wins the title here, then it's just like, that's a really cool accomplishment, that sort of thing, and, retains the title and beats Mercedes Moné, and that's very cool, but it's also like, okay, then what? And wrestling lives off of then what? So I don't see one here with Toni Storm winning. It's the same sort of thing of like, who's going to win the Casino Gauntlet? Like, let's say Chris Statlander wins and Tony beats Mercedes Moné. Okay, Chris versus Tony is very cool to me, but it's like, it's going to be immediate drop down from Mercedes versus Chris, because Mercedes has the additional thing of, at that point, still have not lost.
Yep.
So you can still elevate with Mercedes Moné. There's still room to grow there.
Yep, and she's also the top star on the roster. So just do it. Just go. Give her the belt. Like I said, she doesn't have enough. And I also just want to see her hold them all. I think that's funny.
I think it would be funny as well.
I think it's a great bit that she just has a million belts, and her finally having the world title would be really good. And I think naturally it continues to help strengthen the division. I know, like, oh, she has all the belts. How does that strengthen the division? Because she's Mercedes Moné. I said it a year ago when she was joining the company. The division changes when she comes in, and it has. For the better.
They built it around Mercedes Moné, and the division's better.
Crazy idea.
They've also built it around Toni Storm as well, obviously.
That's
why this match rules. But
like, what has been my favorite part of the women's division since Mercedes Moné's joined? Mercedes Moné. And she's also, I don't think this is talked about enough, has found a groove where she feels untouchable right now. So stopping that would be silly.
Yep. The same thing with Kyle Fletcher. Same thing that we said with Kyle Fletcher. It doesn't make any sense. Why would they do that?
And same thing with Hangman Adam Page.
Main event.
Get me to the main event.
Main event, AEW World Title, officially a Texas death match. Jon Moxley versus Adam Page. Only AEW can do this in a main event in front of 20,000 people in Globe Life Field. This is why, to me, Scotty, why AEW rules.
Just this reason.
This match graphic alone is like, yep, this is why the company rules.
I saw the match graphic on Wednesday night while I was sitting there sick and annoyed. Not because of AEW, because I was sick and annoyed.
I know. You get so sick that you're annoyed at yourself.
Yeah. Especially in the summer. It's disgusting. Terrible. But I saw the match graphic and I had my friend message me and just like, all he said was Hangman. That's all. So I watched the promo and I was like, yeah.
Promo rule.
I have had my ups and downs with AEW over the past. When the fuck was MJF champion? 2 years ago now?
2 years ago?
I've had my ups and downs for the past 2 years with this company. But I've never felt more locked in and more like, man, I might be right about something. I know a lot of people feel this way. When Hangman Page has done this entire run since winning the Owen, it is I'm gonna say this. People can fight me about it. I don't really care. He is undeniably the most complete wrestler in North America. Not AEW, North America. All of it. Promos, wrestling, making you feel something. He just does it all to perfection. He is everything that CM Punk tried to say he was. He's everything that people want the wrestler of the year to often be. He's he's everything and more. And he's finally the guy. Undeniably the guy. Right? He's the guy that everyone wanted him to be when he beat Kenny. And obviously that reign didn't go as everyone wanted. Sure, fine. And from that point forward, when he lost to CM Punk, it has been trying to scratch his way back to this very point. Now he's going to main event the biggest show a company in North America has ever had outside of WWE. And he's going to do it winning the world title because he should be. Because AEW was never wrong when they said, this is going to be our guy. They were never wrong. I always believed it. Obviously, it took some time. But you listen to every promo, you watch back. If you go through the weeks of this, he's been perfect. He is literally batting 1,000. Like, he has not missed this entire feud. This feels like the biggest match in AEW history. And it has nothing to do to me necessarily with like incredible work from Jon Moxley. He's done good. He's done good in this build-up, especially. But it's all about Hangman. It's all about Hangman. And the idea of saving AEW in many ways from the past years of CM Punk, MJF, CM Punk again, WWE, right? All these different things, all these different curveballs that have been thrown at this company. Now you have the guy stepping into a Texas death match in the main event of their biggest show ever, winning the world title in Texas. And they're going to do this match in a way that's going to be very, very similar to Roman and Cody, but also very different.
Yes, I kind of, the only sort of step back I have about this match is how much of this match is bloodline rules.
A lot of it, but it's Texas death.
Yeah.
So there's going to be blood. There's going to be more blood. Jon Moxley might get stabbed again. Remember that?
Yep.
I was reminded that happened this year and I said, holy shit, that feels so long ago. But like, it's gonna be different. It's gonna be the AEW version of it. And when Swerve Strickland saves Hangman Page, no one's gonna give a shit that it's Bloodline Rules-esque because that's a moment. That is a moment that has been built up for 2 years. When either Sting or Bryan Danielson's music hits to save the day, no one's gonna be upset about it. Everyone's gonna celebrate the shit out of it.
Yeah, I think Darby, if he's around, which I certainly think he will be, coming out, and it will be very great. Swerve, obviously. I think Danielson at this point, they've been sort of teasing it. I think very much he might
probably
be
has to be him.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people. Obviously, the Ops. I think Ospreay as well. It is this thing of, if you take the wider scope, the sort of meta conversation of what this match means. Since CM Punk, since Brawl Out, what was that, 22? We have had 3 years of what you can basically call the dark ages for AEW. This was a rough period of time. not just, the news surrounding the company. The honeymoon period was over. The business, business started going down, both TV wise and obviously attendance wise. They had to start going to smaller buildings. They filled up those smaller buildings, but they had to go into smaller buildings. They just had the weird ass MJF title reign. They had needed Samoa Joe to save things. Now, they did have a lot of good things as well. Obviously, the Swerve title reign, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
They started doing these Wembley shows and All In. They had positives within. It had the Hangman Swerve feud. They had
momentum points.
Yeah,
but
they had momentum points, but for large part, I think you could call these the dark ages of AEW. In this match, especially with the meta conversation of Jon Moxley and the Death Riders being the physical embodiment of those dark ages for AEW, and the guy that is bringing the light back into AEW, the guy that is truly the only man available on the roster that can bring back the feeling to AEW is Hangman Adam Page. And doing this match, main event, 20,000 plus in attendance at Globe Life Field in a Texas death match, his signature match against Jon Moxley. This is the perfect embodiment of what that feeling is, and him winning will fully showcase that AEW is fully back because the feeling has been restored. This is a massive match for the company. It is a push forward into that next generation, into the next era. They are officially out of the dark ages after this. And I fully expect like attendance to bounce back and all these business metrics as well to bounce back. I think we are moving into the right direction.
They already are.
They already are. They've already started. And I think they will even more so with Adam Page at the helm.
You have slowly seen them put together a run. A run that it felt like they were so on and off doing the past 2 years to try to get out of the dark age, right? Everyone's like, when will they figure this out? And timing is a hell of a thing. Yeah. Being able to do it at the same time WWE pisses away every bit of goodwill they have is a great time to put it all together. And that was part of it, right? They had to try so many different new things. And I like to bring us back to the first All In, the first main event of that, and what they did with MJF and Adam Cole. Very WWE story. Yeah. Not a lot of AEW diehards like that. You fast forward to this All In, and it's going to be a very similar, in some ways, WWE-esque thing that we've seen, right? With Cody and Roman, which, by the way, we both loved that match. So I am not going to sit here and shit on it by any means.
Yeah.
But it's going to be AEW's version. Right? MJF versus Adam Cole wasn't AEW's version of the big bloodline. It was just WWE's. It was the AEW's WWE story.
Yeah.
This is AEW's story with the satisfying finish that it's going to be. And the Elite was right in the end. Hangman was always their pick. This company has always been the Elite first. Right? And I think in a time where we watch Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks start to take a backseat, yes, I know he's probably winning a second world title on this show, but we're in that time. They're starting.
4 Elite members are going to walk away with titles: World title, United title, EVP title.
Yeah, that's true. But like we are in a real time where this feels like the end of an era for those three, right? Like this is the big bang, and now they're gonna have their last great run and then probably slow down. Hangman's now getting to his top level.
Yeah.
And I do want to give credit where credit's due to the Death Riders, because obviously I've not liked a lot of the title matches. But in many ways, those being bad or whatever, those being what they were, has led to this ultimate moment.
Yeah.
Right? This ultimate moment where, my God, I don't know how this would have worked with an Osprey or a Darby. They got the right guy. There's not a chance in hell this was always the pick. I know it wasn't always the pick. You know it wasn't always the pick. But they got it right. And it's because I think the fans made them get it right. Hangman is Hangman, right? Christopher Daniels made them get it right in many ways. Somehow that match is going to go down as one of the most important matches in AEW history. It was on a random collision in front of like 2,000 people max,
Yeah.
right? At the time, everyone's like, oh, Christopher Daniels, like, he had his last match on this collision because it was recorded. Everyone's like, what? And then, like, everyone watched it, like, oh, that was great. And little did you know, it was going to be what stems Hangman Page to the top of the mountain again, finally, a year after I was pleading with them to put him in the heel role at the top of the mountain against Swerve. Somehow, they did. They obviously didn't do that. And it's been a bumpy road since then, but it paid off.
This isn't like the moment of the show because we also have so much other stuff to talk about and we have to move on. But like there is a point of discussion eventually about I don't think we should like truly look back and like remember and think more fondly of the Death Riders run because I think for a large part of it, I forget the proper word is, but I don't think we should like look back on that and be like, yeah, that was actually good. It was really bad at times. For a large
the first
part
half especially
it was real rough.
Yeah.
But what there should be, and I don't see anyone talking about it, and what there should be, I think, is we need to look back and remember all of those points of Twitter and social media and podcasters, people like us talking about AEW needs to pivot. They need to pivot in November, in December, in January, and February. They're never doing it. Why are they never doing it? Everyone getting upset and everyone getting upset and angry about it. And here we are. The fact that they never pivoted allowed this match to happen. Allow this moment to take place.
They are still pivoting. The destination was Darby at one point. You know that.
Probably.
Right. Every report was it was Darby. And I think had this story gone better, this could probably be stretched out a few more months.
Maybe.
But it doesn't matter now. They didn't pivot when the many times we said they should pivot. And they've naturally gotten to a point here where it all feels right. A lot of those times, as you were saying, when we said pivot, did it feel right? Not necessarily. It was more, please
I just want to get away
this.
From the shitty stuff.
Yeah. And somehow the Swerve loss led to all of this at the same time. At one point, I really do think we were doing Swerve and Hangman versus the Young Bucks. And
I think that was probably a plan as well.
And somewhere down the line, Ospreay and Hangman switched. And I think that is literally the best thing to happen for both of their careers. Obviously Hangman's, but even Ospreay's, because I don't know if he's in this spot. One, he feels like the sure bet winner, because I don't think the story works as naturally, because again, Hangman's a day one AEW guy. Like there's something about that too.
Yeah.
That really has benefited the story. But also it worked for Ospreay because in many ways he can get back on track of probably winning the world title in his home country, which has always been the idea, right? A year next year. So somehow, some way, they've actually pivoted so many different parts of this story, but not the parts we said pivot, please pivot, right? We had Eddie Kingston as a possible opponent for this. We thought of so many different things, and a lot of me didn't ever think they'd actually go with Hangman.
Yeah.
Right? Like sometimes it just felt like that ship had sailed. but at the same time, you just kind of have to believe. And a lot of what AEW's been doing, especially in the last 3 months or so, has been getting everything right.
We at the time, everyone was just like with this. They were just
Yeah.
looking for a life preserver to grab
Mhm.
onto and just be like, I need to get out of
Yeah.
this. Meanwhile, in the back corner, AEW Tony Khan are just like constructing the Hangman Page turning babyface arc,
Yeah.
all slowly but surely as we get here. And what's fascinating as well is that like, there's all these reports of like the Young Bucks would have been Swerve versus Hangman. Darby was here at one point. Will was here at one point. That
Yeah. It's good to
you know,
remember the genuine shock of people when
yeah,
the Owen finals ended
yeah.
too.
But like even then, it's like just the conspiracy hat that I have on right now is just the thing of like, that is either such natural we're getting behind the guy that's getting cheered of Hangman Adam Page, or that is also very much like, yeah, they knew Darby couldn't do the show because he's doing
Right.
Everest. Yeah, okay, yeah, we're gonna set this up to be Hangman Adam Page or Will Ospreay, and we'll see what the fans, this idea of like
There's a
we're,
possibility there,
we're
yeah.
constructing this to make it feel like the
Yeah.
fans have chosen Adam
Yeah.
Page, which is also largely true. Uh, and
Very
then we're
true, yeah.
pivoting towards Hangman Adam Page
Mhm.
after all this time. That it is this sort of thing of by leaking these details, we
Yeah.
have created this thing of it naturally has to be this man. The fans chose him
Yeah.
exactly as you said. The fans chose
Mhm.
Hangman and Page. We are going with what the fans have chosen because it's
Yeah.
going to build even more excitement.
Mhm.
Empathy is not the right word, but like fan and
Yeah.
interest for having this guy because they chose this guy. Even though they've been, as you said, all the way back to Christopher Daniels, which was January, I think.
January or February, yeah. I
They've
think
been
January.
they've been slowly building this up for 6
Yeah.
months.
Yeah, and it can't, and I also have to give credit to the MJF feud for Hangman too. That did a
Oh my
lot
god,
of good for
Scotty,
him.
giving credit to all the haters.
I I know. I actually didn't mind that feud or that match, which was a real shocker because it was MJF, and I really do still mind MJF.
Mhm.
Um, but like that did a lot of good work for Hangman too. Like every step of the way, they've gone with the right direction, and I also say every step of the way they've made sure he won. Like a lot of the Hangman stories, he loses.
Yeah,
Making sure he won that MJF match. I remember when he won, I was shocked because again, he always loses. So like he started to just kind of get used to it. And the same happened when he beat Osprey. It was the holy shit he won. And now we're going. Um, you know why the Death Riders are so hated at the beginning or for most of this run? Because they are the bloodline.
yeah,
Like the way they work is exactly the same, right? The cheating and stuff. But that happening in AEW is so much worse than happening in WWE because that's not a custom.
yeah,
But in the end, John Moxley has somehow got us to making it work.
yeah.
In the end, the payoff of Hangman Page winning in the main event of All In makes the story worth it in the end, if that is in fact what happens.
It's the bloodline if the bloodline were actually treated by the fans as heels and not baby faces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not a cinema. Um, Now, I will say this real quick because, I've been wrong a number of times along the way here.
What? Shocker. This is where you say shocker, I know.
I know I'm not wrong a lot. Thank you. I I'm pretty confident Hangman's winning like
Yeah, yeah.
99%. I'm at like 99%.
Same.
But there is a good 1% of doubt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
because
you know what that is? That is also like
that's what you want wrestling to be in many ways.
but that's also like all the fandom saying we have to pivot to Swerve and or Osprey or at on any of these
Yeah,
moments, and
yeah.
then Moxley still winning.
Yes.
That
It
you
is.
wouldn't have that 1% if those
Yeah.
things didn't happen.
Yeah. But by the way, if that 1% happens, all the momentum's gone.
Yeah, if that 1% happened, that is the most we just laid out in this past like 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
There's so much writing.
Like
I literally
worst
just
booking
said,
decision of all time.
I just said this would be the end of the Dark Ages. It would be the worst decision in booking AEW booking history, booking malpractice to the nth degree.
Again, this is supposed to be WrestleMania 40, not 39 when Cody lost, but it would be so much worse.
So much worse.
So much worse because AEW has built momentum. They have people on their side. Every show feels like you gotta check it out right now. Sure, not every angle may work to perfection, but for the most part, every show is good and worth your time, right? That is what AEW has returned to being. And now you're going into the biggest show they've ever had, the most exciting show they've ever had. No show in AEW history has had a bigger top 3 matches, period.
Yeah.
In terms of hype, excitement, whatever. You got literally all the results on this show besides this one could go either way. No one's going to bat an eye. As long as this result is correct, this is a successful show. And AEW is fully back. Dark Age is gone. Hangman World Champion. But that 1%, that
lingers.
1%, it lingers. I'll tell you this. One of my best friends who I've watched many AEW shows with, he has to go to a wedding this day. He's devastated. He is still buying the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
He doesn't watch wrestling all the time. He's a pretty generic fan. But Hangman winning, that has won him over more than anything. He is buying the pay-per-view. He's like, I might watch it at the wedding, like on his phone. I'm like, that's awesome.
We talked about the business up top, but to close it out there is I am fascinated to see what like the buy rate for this pay-per-view does, because it really feels like it might pull in a lot.
Where do you watch these shows on?
I'm watching it. I've been a Prime guy lately.
I haven't tried Prime. I do YouTube. YouTube's pretty good.
Prime is I really enjoy it. Prime.
I don't really miss the idea of Triller, but I did like having the archive all in one place.
Yeah. That's fair.
Also, if you use the VPN, you can buy it internationally for like $20 cheaper, and that was pretty nice. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah,
you've never done that, Scotty.
No, never. I don't do it anymore. I will say this though. All my excitement comes with especially the last 3 matches, but all my anticipation is for that final match.
Yeah.
Texas Death, AEW World Title. The only match that should main event this show, by the way. If this match somehow doesn't main event, boy, oh boy, my heart sinks. Just letting you all know that. It's main eventing. I'm not even questioning that. It is the biggest match on the show. Sorry, Kenny and Okada. Sorry, Mercedes and Tony. Right? I think that's been another fun part. A lot of this match in main event, this match in main event, that all kind of died in the build up to this match.
Mm-hmm.
Right? A lot of when Tony and Mercedes became a reality, when Okada and Omega became a reality, everyone's like, oh, maybe these should main event. Hangman has made sure that's not even a question.
Yeah. I am fascinated about this match. I'm fascinated about the show. I think as we laid it out a little bit here, I think this has really good, really great show of the year potential. I cannot recommend the card enough. Cannot recommend what might be happening enough.
Is by far the best all-in card.
Yes.
Not even a question.
Not even a question. I'm very excited for Saturday. Well, we got 20 minutes left in the show. Let's quickly go through everything else. Because I don't think it will take that much time. Supercard of Honor will be the day before in
It would be criminal if we took a long time on a Goldberg match.
That's true. Supercard of Honor, the card is as thus: Ring of Honor Pure Title match, Lee Moriarty versus Blue Panther. Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles, Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara versus Carly Bravo, and Sean Dean. No, Scotty's excited about that match. Ring of Honor Women's World Title, Athena versus Thunder Rosa, and Ring of Honor World Title, Bandito versus Konosuke Takeshita.
Well, I'm certainly excited about that match.
Yeah, those 4 matches alone, I mean, like, Takeshita, Bandito, obviously excited for it. Athena versus Thunder Rosa.
Yeah.
A tag match.
Uh,
Blue Panther, Lee Moriarty. All right.
That's fun.
That's me being like, all right, that should be pretty fun.
This match should also have a lucha showcase.
I agree.
I mean.
It's Esports Arena. You know what?
Yeah, exactly. I'm excited for the main event.
Yeah, I'm very excited for the main event. I'm excited to see what it does. I'm just looking up. Last time they did Death Before Dishonor during that Esports Stadium Arlington residency, 1,157, which I don't know if that's the capacity, but that is probably the highest of all of these numbers. You know,
fun fact for you, not fun fact, fun question for you.
Sure.
Do you remember when they announced the Ring of Honor Women's Pure title?
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago, one of the final battles or something.
I don't think it was a couple of years ago. I think it was like a few months ago. I think it was like January. Either way, what happened to it?
Oh, you're right. I'm confusing with the TV title.
Yes, the TV title exists.
With Red Velvet.
Yeah.
What did happen to that?
No, don't get me wrong. I'm not asking for it. I don't like pure rules to begin with. So I'm not asking for it, but it did get announced. Right.
Right. Tony Khan announces by the way, I love how often Scotty, that when I type in like a question, one of the very first links it pops up is Jim Cornette's Reddit subreddit. Like, it's just so funny to me. Like, if I need to look up like 2024, like I've done this past several times, 2024, like Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame, whatever thing. The first link is like a Jim Cornette subreddit link, and I think it's so funny every single time. 2 months ago, Tony Khan announced the Ring of Honor Women's Pure Championship. And I don't.
Nice.
1 month ago, someone questioned, has there been a bracket announced? I don't know. I genuinely, 3 women were announced. 6 women were announced for the Ring of Honor World Title Tournament 2 months ago as well. Surely that these matches happened so far. I genuinely don't know, Scotty. I genuinely don't know what is happening with that title, if it exists, or what is happening. But
that's funny.
Someone. Okay, here we go. 20 hours ago, into the AEW official subreddit, the Women's Ring of Honor Pure Wrestling is exciting. I've seen a lot of negativity around the title when it was announced, but the tournament build is totally a big reason I've turned into Ring of Honor. Tournament build? So the tournament hasn't happened yet?
Clearly not. There's not a champion.
Wow. That's genuinely crazy. That's genuinely crazy. No, I don't think anyone's talking about it online. I don't think anyone cares. Really.
Oh, I mean, I don't care. I just remember I was reminded of it by a listener of the show, Eternal, and I said, "Is that a real thing?
Yeah,
was that actually the thing?" And then
I fully forgot about that.
And now you've looked it up, and you've confirmed that it was, in fact, a real thing.
It was a thing, but apparently they're still building to the tournament. I don't know when that's going to happen, but whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
Ring of Honor. Supercon of Honor. Yes, this Friday, Arlington, Texas. I assume you can watch it on ringofhonorwrestling.com. ROH Wrestling Honor Club. So check it out there. I assume you got to pay for it, or if it's going to be part of the subscription.
Yeah, it's part of the sub.
So yeah, I'm sure that's gonna be I think that's gonna be a fun little show. Obviously, you and I are both extremely excited for Bandito versus Kenosuke and Takeshita, 2 guys that have been on such a run. I genuinely am questioning whether or not Takeshita actually might win the title here, Scotty. Just because that AEW likes to have someone with their title on one of these New Japan, tournaments. Happens in Best of Super Juniors 2 years in a row with Yuta and Nick Wayne. So part of me is like, maybe Takeshita, who's never openweight champion, maybe he wins the Ring of Honor World title and goes into the G1 as champion. I think that is totally likely, because then that would also set up some sort of match for Forbidden Door, perhaps, if you want to think of it that way. But
That's true.
why would you want to do that match when you can instead do a G1 Climax briefcase defense? So I don't know. That seems weird.
Obviously.
So what do you think of this overall show?
I would just have Bandito win.
I think that's a safer bet.
Yeah. The show, I mean, it's a one-match show.
Yeah. 2 if you want to be generous with Lee Moriarty, Blue Panther, because I do think that'll be good, but it's largely a one-match show.
Yeah. I watched the whole show.
Same.
But yeah, it's a one-match show.
Well, then let's move on and discuss WWE's counter-programming week, the weekend that they're having. Obviously, they don't have any competition, but they just so happen to book 3 shows in Atlanta for some reason this exact same weekend with 2 shows, really just one show butting up real quickly against it. I don't know if we're going to review the Great American Bash by NXT.
We're not going to review the Great
American Bash. I doubt we're going to review that, but it is going to be going up right up ahead, 3 o'clock to 3 o'clock against All In Texas. So Great American Bash is as follows. Scotty, do you think this will get more eyes than All In Texas? This, of course, is going to be Oba Femi versus Yoshiki Inamura for the NXT title, Sol Ruka versus Izzy Dame for the NXT Women's North American title, and, of course, Jordan Grace and Blake Monroe, could have been on the All In card, now here, the Great American Bash, versus Fatal Influence, Fallon Henley, and JC Jane.
No.
Yeah.
this okay, here's why. This show's gonna have 700 in attendance, the other one's gonna have 20,000.
Yeah, center stage, tiny ass theater, by the way. Tiny. That's where like WCW used to do like all their like TV tapings.
I think it's funny that Triple H does with NXT what he hated Vince did with NXT when AEW first started.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Funny thing about. Anyways, yeah, this is not going to be a big talking point on our show next week.
So. I don't think it deserves it. Capacity for the building for the theater is 1050. Maybe a little bit more because they're going to have they'll have people on the actual stage.
No, I think it's less. I think it's only set up for 770.
Oh, yeah, actually might be true because that's 1050 with like the band on the actual stage, and then there's probably people in the seating or in the pit or whatever below. So it's probably less than that. It is probably 700 something. So yeah, this is literally this is probably a loss leader for WWE. They looked for a building. They got one in Atlanta because they were able to do all the other shows in State Farm. They went to Center Stage Theater, and they were like, "Great, we can just counter program with this." All this show is meant to do is counter program and just take eyes away. But I think if you are a smart wrestling fan, one that listens to this broadcast, I imagine you are going to be watching All In Texas. And realistically, I don't even think we're going to get title switches here. Like, I don't think there's any reason to check out.
No, I'll watch bits and pieces from it eventually someday.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. There's really no point in watching that show. But after All In Texas, I doubt All In Texas is going to go 5+ hours, but in case it does, it probably won't butt up against Saturday night's main event. The last couple Saturday night's main event, you and me, Scotty, talked about how we haven't been enjoying it. And maybe we'll watch the next one, see how we feel. Well, the next one's here in Atlanta, in State Farm Arena. We have 3 matches announced so far, according to Cage Match. Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins versus LA Knight, and Gunther versus Goldberg for the WWE World Heavyweight title. Now, you wrote in the thing that this would be Goldberg's last match. Is that official that this is if he loses?
He made it official. Well, no, it's not. If he just said it's my last match.
Well, there we go.
He doesn't have to retire if he loses. It's his choice to retire. But
it's his body, his choice, of course. Well, his body is failing on him. He can barely walk now, I think.
Well, he's old.
What?
Excuse me? I don't know if people know this. He's not young anymore. So yeah, there's that. Yes,
Goldberg's retirement match. I mean, I'm obviously going to check this out. How long it will be, I mean, you can probably watch it on Twitter afterwards. You can probably watch it on X the Everything app afterwards.
Bill Goldberg, 58 years old.
Yeah, so this show, I mean, I don't know. I don't really feel like this is going to be a show of like must-see wrestling. I mean, Seth Rollins versus LA Knight, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, who gives a shit about that? Randy Orton versus Drew
me.
McIntyre. What is this, 2020 pandemic wrestling? What is this, an ambulance match?
Everything's thrown together on this weekend for WWE. Nothing has any meaning to it besides the Goldberg match.
Yeah. Which, ironically enough, could have also been on All In Texas, but it seems like AEW was probably like, no, thank you. With Goldberg.
Good call there.
Yeah, so Goldberg obviously is saying the retirement match. I don't think that's part of the build so far, but it's definitely what Goldberg is saying.
Oh, he said it.
Did you say on
WWE television? Yeah. Michael Cole asked him in an interview or something. He's like, yes. He's like, what if you win the world title? And he's like, we'll see.
There is something to me about like this not being his actual last match, and it just being like he wins the world title and then he has a little.
If it wasn't in Atlanta, it'd be one thing, but it's in Atlanta, so
yeah,
I think that's right. I think we're wrapping it up here. Good for him. See you later, Bill.
We'll talk about you at the Hall of Fame. the Hall of Fame. Is he in the WWE Hall of Fame?
I think he's already in it.
I think he is as well. Well, we'll see. We'll talk about you for the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame, Goldberg. You're still not on it. Will this change anything? I doubt it. I mean, how much? What do we know the attendance numbers is for this yet?
I think it's selling out.
Damn, that sucks. That sucks to hear. I literally, like I said, like I could just watch this match probably on TikTok just a little bit later.
One selling out.
You and I both rushing to WrestleTix to see if we can find the answer.
It's set for 12,000. 10,000 already sold.
So far, half of All in Texas. If we want to be the comparison company here.
Well, I will promise you they will not touch All in Texas.
Yeah, that's probably true. So we'll see how it is. Should be an interesting show, but like I said, we'll see how it is.
Yeah.
It won't be an interesting show. This might be the thing that fully kills us. And then the last little bit, Sunday, Evolution 2, also finally happening. State Farm Arena, Atlanta, Georgia. Everyone's been talking about how it's going to be butting up against the Beyonce concert at Mercedes-Benz. So far, the ticket distributed as of July 4th, according to WrestleTix, is 4,800. Should also note, Scotty, that what you and I discovered last week is that these tickets are way cheaper, half to a third of the price compared to Great American Bash and Saturday Night's Main Event. You know, I mentioned that like Great American Bash is a loss leader, but obviously they're trying to make back the money on that show because those tickets are uber expensive comparatively. Evolution, I can get a ticket for $50 for this show. Go check out Evolution, and it's not up against any other thing of wrestling, I believe. You know, at the very least, not AEW. So they're finally putting on the show. They're not up against anybody. And the card is as follows. We're going to have a battle royal. I don't know if it's for anything or whatever, but
world title opportunity at Clash in Paris.
Clash in Paris. Good for them. Good for them. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to pull up the bit here. Okay, here we go. Yes, there's a battle royal for Women's World Championship at Clash in Paris, which is in a date, August 31st. I assume that's the next pay-per-view. We also have
SummerSlam's the next pay-per-view.
Okay, copy that. We also have a no-holds-barred match between Money in the Bank holder Naomi versus Queen of the Ring Jade Cargill. We also have a WWE Women's Tag Title 4-way match. The Judgment Day, Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez versus Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, which to me is just a very funny tag team. And then two other tag teams, which we don't know as of this time, appears. Week out.
Yeah.
Don't know.
One from NXT and one from Raw.
All right. Good for them.
That's the match that got thrown together because Liv Morgan got hurt. And ruined seemingly all their plans for this show.
Next up, NXT Women's title match: JC Jane versus Jordan Grace.
I'm here to say that match will be good, and I want to hear anyone else say otherwise. Thank you.
Also, obviously, Jordan Grace from Austin, Texas, but obviously currently lives in Atlanta, Georgia.
Also, okay. Also, fun fact.
It's a hometown. It's a hometown advantage.
Well,
is what I'm saying. So she actually might lose. That's what I'm saying. I guess.
Also, fun fact: the winner of this faces Masha Slamovich in a double title match at Slammiversary.
Gotta be Jordan. Gotta be Jordan. Holy shit,
Daisy, baby.
Oh man. WWE Women's title match: Tiffany Stratton versus Trish Stratus.
That's something. There's one match on here that's not announced, but the Intercontinental title match.
I believe that just got announced officially today. That is a 3-way: Becky Lynch, Bayley, and Lyra Valkyria for the IC title.
Probably my second most anticipated match by far.
After JC Jane, Jordan Grace?
No, after the main event.
Which is most likely going to be Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley for the WWE Women's World title.
Which, if you want a pretty cool fact.
Fun facts?
A year to the day that Io returned to Japan to face Utami, she will now main event Evolution against Rhea Ripley, defending the world title. That's pretty cool. I know, like cool. I know, like obviously people want to make their things about Evolution too, because in the end, I'm gonna make this little rant real quick. Give me a second. In the end, people for some reason used making fun of WWE as a way to also make fun of women's wrestling. I've noticed, and I think that's kind of shitty. And I've seen a lot of people do that this week, and it's like I understand WWE stinks. You don't gotta tell me. And I understand they kind of sabotaged all these women for this show. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't support the women and you shouldn't support the all-women show, because you can make them look stupid in the end by supporting the all-women show that they're probably never going to do again after this because of the way everything's gone. Obviously, they weren't even going to do this in the first place. We know that. But yeah, I don't like I feel like the continued support women's wrestling thing just kind of dies as soon as it's WWE, and it shouldn't stop because of the promotion. That's the one thing I can't stress. And I think Io, I think Rhea, I think Becky and Bayley and Lyra and the whole list, they deserve your eyeballs and care for their show, because no matter what, no matter how many people are in the building for this show, they're gonna do their best. You know why? Because this is their craft and they care about women's wrestling and they care about their craft. So I just want to stress that, because I know a lot of people are using this entire weekend to make jokes and stuff because it's been thrown together and the tickets aren't selling well because of obviously everything working against it.
Including the company.
Including the company, but I want them to succeed despite all that, because in the end, obviously I care very much about women's wrestling. It's the main thing I cover to begin with. So I hope that they succeed, and I also hope Io loses the belt, but that's another conversation.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think the irony is here, Scotty, is because what I was just about to say makes it very ironic, is that the show almost feels like an anti-Saudi show, in the sense of I'm going to boycott the Saudi show because of what the political ramifications and meaning behind all these sort of things mean, especially to me. Right. The Evolution show here is, in a way, the anti-version of that, because it is meant to be a celebration of women's wrestling in a sense where no one cares about it. We had this issue with Evolution 1. The reason it's taken so long is that was sort of seen as a failure for the company. TNA did women's wrestling. NWA did all women shows, and those were commercial failures as well. None of these things quite work. But these people, these women in the ring, on the show, all care about this and care about the craft, despite the company itself not caring about it.
Setting them up. They've been set up.
The part of the reason Evolution 1 existed in the first place was that it was a response to the annoyance and outcry of fans from the Saudi shows when those first started. That's why Evolution 1 existed.
Is that true?
It's partly true. It also existed because they wanted to promote.
That Evolution happened before Saudi.
It was announced as a response, sort of, to the Saudi outcry and backlash. I think it did happen before, but I believe it was announced after, or at least announced after the deal got put together. If that makes sense. Okay. So in that same sense, you got to look at this as this is a response to everything that this company is against or for, or whatever I should say. And you, if you want to support, if you don't like the company, what I'm weirdly getting around
hard. To, it's very hard, yes.
But what I'm weirdly getting around to is that I don't want to watch the Saudi shows because I don't want to support those shows in WWE, and I want to do all these things.
You talked about last week. How do you
how can I boycott this if they're already making all of their money?
Right.
But this is the sort of show of I do want to support this. This is something I do want to put my time and effort to. And if I had money, I would put it towards this actual thing and probably buy a ticket. I'm going to see if I'm going to be able to buy a ticket. I don't think so, but I'm going to see if I can try to do that. Maybe I have to go to the show by myself. But it's this thing of they care about it. They want this to succeed. They want to go out and do their best. And even if it's not going to succeed commercially, they want to succeed in terms of critical success, right? And have put on great matches.
Mm-hmm.
And if that matters to you in terms of seeing people try extremely hard and have a great and try to put on a great wrestling show and wanting to support people in something they truly care about, then go check it out. Because in the same way, Scotty, it does not matter if you watch it or not. WB is still going to make their money. So why not support the wrestlers in the ring by watching it and talking about what they provided and not what WWE lacked in providing for everybody.
Absolutely. And I think Mercedes Monet said it best on her Instagram Live. First of all, she said it's about time, which was good. That was a good one. Yeah. But she was like, I support all women's wrestling, and you know, pretty much like you should too. Like, it's who cares about company lines for this show? Yeah. Like, you can have your company lines up and you can mock WWE all you want, and they deserve it for this show. But the wrestlers and the idea of the show deserve the support. It's already a bummer that this isn't going to have the same crowd as a fucking Goldberg match the night before.
Mm-hmm.
That already bums me out because this is going to be a better show than Saturday night's main event.
I
guaranteed, I think.
Yeah.
So I just, for me, it's a show I actually look forward to because they're getting the time. I like the first Evolution. And I think they are a more talented roster top to bottom now than they probably were then. So, yeah, I just hope I hope people can support the wrestlers. I hope people support women's wrestling. You don't have to support WWE. I know I don't. I know Ryan doesn't. I know anyone that wants to buy a ticket to the show, you're not really supporting WWE. Just support the wrestlers and support them. I know, again, that's kind of the conversation point all the time, but they deserve it, and I know they're going to put on a hell of a show. So I am looking forward to Evolution 2. I'm not looking forward to literally anything else WWE is doing over the next, 6 months, but this I am, even if it's all thrown together. So that's nice. But, yeah, definitely watch it. And if you care about me, root for Io to lose. I know it sounds ridiculous. Just root for Io to lose. Thank you.
Guys did a whole Hall of Fame conversation about Io Sky, and now you.
Hey man. I have different agendas that are way more important.
I don't know what those could be, but interesting. A thing to note. A thing to note for sure. Well,
I just like the possibility of things happening. Okay, man.
Interesting. I'm sure Scotty doesn't know anything. Anyways, let's end the show here.
I know so many things no one knows. You know?
I know. I'm making that's
I know, like
joke.
I know who's winning All In's main event. It's Darby Allin.
Yeah, baby.
He's actually cashing in his Mount Everest Money in the Bank.
He climbed. That'd be hilarious. He climbed a ladder on top of Mount Everest, and there's just a thing hanging in the air.
Yeah.
This was here. This was here the whole time. I could have.
Tony Khan told Darby, if you don't, this is gonna sound a little nasty, but if you don't die going up, you get a free title shot whenever you want.
Honestly, I think he deserves it to that extent. I mean, when you say it like that, Scotty, that is yeah, I think you're right, actually. So yeah, we'll talk about all that stuff and more next week, all in Texas. We'll talk about the WWE's counter programming, WWE Saturday Night Main Event, and Evolution 2, of course, along with Supercard of Honor. And then we got a lot of previews as well next week. G1 is starting.
Ooh, holy shit.
Slammiversary, will we talk about it? I don't know. We'll preview it. I don't know. When's the 5-star just got announced in terms of people?
Starts end of the month. So
right. I think
we'll have a week of space.
Oh, thank God.
27th.
Okay, so we got some time before we start talking about that. But next week will be a loaded show, and then the week after that will be another loaded show. So we got a lot of loaded shows.
Oh, we're kind of in the role now. For the rest of summer, like this is when it just is go now. So
yeah, I think it's gonna be like that. We might have 1 week of a breather, but I think this is gonna be it for a while for us. A lot of wrestling to discuss. So that means make sure you subscribe to Ring Post Radio wherever you get podcasts. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to check out the video version of the live stream of the podcast. Scotty, give us some more plugs. Give us your match of the week.
Match of the week. Let's see. Match of the week. I'm going to go with. Oh, I finally watched Despy and Jun Kasai from the Death Pain Invitational. I watched that 2 nights ago. That was great. So that'll be my match of the week. And then plugs youtube.com/@ScottyWrestling. That's a place to always go for my content. Now that I'm not thick anymore, I have a lot of ideas for content over the next few weeks. Next Sunday, I will actually have a year look back at Io versus Utami up there, so that's pretty cool. Timing, huh? I'll probably have some sort of video up this week. I do have a beginner's guide to Marigold coming out, but I'm now gonna wait again because they're teasing something and I don't want it to instantly be wrong again. Me and my oh yeah, I sure have. So I'm gonna wait another few weeks. I keep saying it, and then they announce something. I'm like, all right, screw me, I guess. So yeah, we'll wait a little bit longer on that, but I have other things in the book, and I'll have previews for both the 5-star and the Dream Star in full coming up as well. So yeah, go subscribe, youtube.com/@ScottEWrestling. That is all. Bye-bye.
I've been teasing it for the past couple weeks. We'll have another episode of The Ballot, my Hall of Fame wrestler conversation. This Wednesday, it's about Mercedes Moné and the announced money. And it's about Mercedes Moné. So the
money. Don't say her name again.
This Wednesday it is about Mercedes Moné. So of course,
money.
The guest is going to be Lyric. Lyric is on the show. Writer, podcaster, extraordinaire. She's on the show, and we will be talking about the Hall of Fame candidacy of Mercedes Moné. Money. So expect that this Wednesday. Other than that, make sure you subscribe to the podcast, follow on social media. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Go check out Naked Gun in theaters August 1st, I guess. Scotty, I didn't tell you this. I was going to tell you this before the show. I'm just going to say it now. I got invited to the cast and crew screener for Naked Gun July 18th, I think is when it is. And I was so excited because I was like, oh, fucking great. I'm going to go check out this movie for everybody else. I'm going to know how funny and great it is, ideally. I was very excited to go see it. And I was like, oh, what time is it? Okay, it's at like 7 o'clock. Okay, I can do that after work. No problem. And I was like, where is it? What theater is that? And I realized it's in Los Angeles, California. And I said, what the fuck? This was filmed in Atlanta. Why is the screener for cast and crew in LA? I don't get it, but it's also a Paramount movie and they don't have money. And now even less so because they paid off Trump. Anyways, that is it for this week's episode of Ring Post Radio. As we stated, we'll have a crap ton more to discuss next week. But until then, I hope you enjoy your Sunday. I hope you all enjoy All in Texas and no other shows. Well, Evolution 2. I hope you enjoy that as well. Evolution 2 as well. And until next week, enjoy your Taco Bell. That rhymed.